Good evening, I'm Jose Cardenas. Find out about a group where Hispanics are valued as leading innovators, scientists, mathematicians, and engineers. And in Sounds of Cultura, SOC, learn about where you can go to experience a unique first-time theater festival and mass procession, and a program integrating music into STEM concepts. All this coming up next on Horizonte.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station.
Thank you for joining us. The Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, known as SHPE, was founded in Los Angeles in 1974. The objective was to form a national organization of professional engineers to serve as role models in the Hispanic community. Here now to talk about this group and its efforts to attract Hispanics to the engineering profession are Mariela Reséndez, President of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers of ASU, and Carrie Robinson, SHPE's Chapter Advisor. Thank you both for joining us on Horizonte. It's good to have you here. Carrie, let's start with you. Since you're the Chapter Advisor, give us a little bit of history. We noted that the organization was founded in 1974. Just kind of trace that and how it got started at ASU.
Absolutely. So SHIP started at ASU in 1982. And really the mission and vision is looking to create a community and a society that supports Hispanics and Latinos and encourages them to pursue careers and education in engineering and the other STEM fields. So in science, technology, engineering, and math.
And Mariela, you would be one of the success stories because you were first introduced to SHIP and to engineering while you were in high school.
Yes, I got involved as a sophomore in high school. I actually got introduced by an ex-national president, Miss Melissa Drake, which she's still involved in SHIP.
And at that time, were you even thinking of a career in engineering?
No, I had no idea what engineering was. I started to get involved with robotics, and I started learning about mechanisms, electrical systems, anything that was engineering related, but no one ever told me it was engineering until I got introduced into engineering.
And that made you want to, you ended up at ASU.
Yes.
You've been there for a number of years now, and your focus is engineering, and now you are president of the local chapter.
Yep.
So how did that come about?
Well, I was president of the junior chapter at my local high school, and then it just carried on. As a freshman and sophomore in college, I decided to get more involved and get into outreach itself within SHIP. So it just grew from there.
And Carrie, what are the kinds of things that the organization does as part of its outreach? We already know that they go into the high schools, but what kinds of programs do you offer there?
So we go out into a lot of the local K through 12 schools and do a variety of different outreach. We have some junior chapters throughout the Phoenix metro area.
Kind of like the one that Mariela was involved in?
Absolutely. That is one of the junior chapters, which we have. And so we have current college students that are engineering majors going out into the schools and working with these students to
and
get
we've
them
got
excited.
a picture on the screen right now. Would that be an example of working in the high schools?
Absolutely. So that's one of our activities where we have the students build a ramp on a pegboard to understand a lot of those principles of velocity and trying to get them excited and doing hands-on activities with engineering and science.
And does it work? I mean, do the kids really get excited and think, I want to be an engineer?
Absolutely. The students become super competitive. They become really into what they're doing. I think any time that you give students something to play with that they get to manipulate, they get very excited about it.
And this picture, I'm not sure, it looks like it's at the state capitol.
Oh, this picture was in Indiana
Okay.
at our national conference. Those are just some of our members just having fun.
And so the national conference, every year there's a national conference for the organization?
Yes. They bring a lot of students from all over the country to this conference.
And what kinds of things do you talk about there?
So there's different things. There's undergraduate tracks, graduate tracks. There's also competitions where we can participate in, such as extreme engineering, technical poster competitions, and the academic Olympiad.
And these are all for people who are already in college?
Yes.
So as president, what do you see your role to be?
My role to be?
Yes.
Is just to inspire and to motivate our students to keep pursuing engineering, that although it may be hard, that they can still succeed and be engineers.
And how many people are in your chapter?
We have over 80 members and 50 active members.
And to be active, what does it mean? So you attend meetings, but are they also expected to participate in the outreach activities?
Yeah, so there's outreach, there's also leadership development, chapter development, different activities for them, going to conferences, going to barbecues, creating mixers for other students and stuff like that.
And what about the mix between Latinas and Latinos in the organization? I know that recently, last week at ASU, well, it was an ASU function, I think, in Tucson. And a few weeks before that, something similar put on by the U of A, focused on Latinas. Is that a particular focus of your group as well?
We try to target just overall Hispanics in engineering. There is no specific target for Latinas, but we try to attract them into our organization as well.
But I assume it's similar to what it is in the population at large, in the sense that women are not as likely to think of engineering as a career until somebody says, you know, this really, anybody can do this, and it's really something to be interested in.
Yes, definitely. What we try to do as SHIP ASU is also get involved with the Hermanas Conference. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it's a function held by Intel at a community college where they try to attract as many women or girls in high school and middle schools into this program for them to get involved in engineering, get introduced to engineering, and get motivated to produce, to go into engineering
And
itself.
to give it a shot.
Yes.
So Carrie, is it working? I mean, in terms of the numbers of people who are involved, is this kind of outreach working?
Absolutely. So you're talking about women in engineering, and nationally we're looking at about 20% of engineering students being female. And when we look
And
at
is that a number that's increased over time?
Not necessarily. That's something that we're definitely pushing towards, trying to get more and more female to feed into the pipeline, to come into engineering, to see that as a viable career option. And that's where these outreach efforts really come into play. Same thing with especially the Hispanic population, because we know that there are so many family influences on their decisions whether to go to college and whether to persist, that these events really do a good job of not only getting the students excited about pursuing engineering, but also educating the family members to understand the benefits of a career in engineering, so that these students are able to give back to their family and really kind of persist in engineering.
So, Mariela, last question. Was that a factor in your situation, the involvement of your family and convincing them that this was something that was good for you?
Oh, yes. Well, kind of. When I first mentioned it to my parents, they were like, what are you doing in engineering? What is that? They were confused because I told them I was doing mechanical. They thought I was going to be a mechanic. But I was like, no, it has nothing to do with that. Once I explained what engineering was to them, they totally understood and were really supportive. They're still very supportive to this date.
Well, before I switched to political science, I was an engineering major, and all my relatives thought it meant I would be driving a train. So things have gotten better.
Yep.
Thank you both so much for joining us on Horizonte to talk about this wonderful program.
Thank you.
To find out more information about what's on Horizonte, go to azpbs.org and click on the Horizonte tab at the top of the screen. There you can access many features to become a more informed Horizonte viewer. Watch interviews by clicking on the video button or by scrolling down to the bottom of the page for the most recent segments. Learn about more specific topics like arts and culture and immigration. You can also find out what's on Horizonte for the upcoming week. If you would like an RSS feed, a podcast, or you want to buy a video, that's all on our website too. Other features include our collection of website links and a special page for educators. While you're there, show your support for Horizonte with just one click. Discover all that's on Horizonte. Visit azpbs.org, Horizonte today.
Child's Play will be hosting a free event for families in March called El Puente, Child's Play's first theater festival and mass procession. Joining me to talk about this is Child's Play and local artist Satko Guerrero. Satko, welcome back to Horizonte.
Thank you. Great to be here.
You've been on the show many times, multi-talented artist, but typically, and this is the case here too, we're talking about your mass, and that's a big part of this. But let's talk about how this came about. As we noted in the introduction, it's a first-time experience for Child's Play. How did it happen?
Well, it's one of those things where a lot of the institutions and arts organizations are trying to broaden their audience, to bring more people into the theater, to do new innovative works of art, and to reinvigorate the art of theater and theater going. So my mission as artistic director of El Puente is to get the community involved in theater workshops, in mask making, in performance, to bring them into the Tempe Center for the Arts, where we're going to have the festival, so that we can celebrate the art of theater and celebrate the art of mask making through a procession, and get people exposed to the fine work that Child's Play does in creating theater for everyone.
And El Puente itself was Child's Play's proposal to the Doris Duke Foundation to get a grant that would support this effort, and it was intended to be outreach to the Hispanic community, correct?
Exactly. They were eligible for this grant by the Doris Duke Foundation, and they had to come up with an idea for this grant. So they asked me if I would write the narrative for them, or I would come up with an idea of what I thought would be appropriate ways to reach a wider audience. And it was simple for me because they're the resident theater company at Tempe Center for the Arts, a wonderful facility for the arts. And they also have this beautiful, elegant bridge that crosses the Tempe Town Lake. So what a magnificent metaphor for theater, for the arts, for crossing over, for reaching out, for transcending and transforming. And that's exactly what we want to do with this festival.
And a metaphor that really fits Arizona in particular, because it could
Exactly.
also mean crossing the border, and particularly this time when we're once again in the midst of some legislation that may signify to outsiders at least our intolerance
Exactly.
for diversity. This sends a different message.
Right, it does send a different message. And for me as an artist and a community activist, that's exactly my goal. I want to create something to this festival that's going to project us nationally and project us in a positive light as being a diverse community, a community that comes together to celebrate the arts, and a community that accepts people from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, and that we're a community and we're a state that is much more than is what's being perceived right now in a national scope because of the legislation coming out of Arizona.
And this event, it was a pretty sizable grant.
Mm-hmm.
It's for more than one presentation.
Yes, we're going to have 2 Puente festivals for the next 2 years, every fall and spring. And then once the grant runs out, we want to continue this as an annual event. So we want to make a big impact with in the next 2 years, get as many of our community members involved, artists, families, and people who want to experience the art in a new way and want to participate. That's really our goal, to get people who haven't been exposed to theater to come to the theater and to feel like it's part of their lives and part of their culture. So that's really what we're striving to do, is to recreate, reinvent the culture here in Arizona, and make it something that really impacts people's life and make it significant in what's going on here throughout our state.
So the first event is March 9th,
March
is that right?
9th. Mm-hmm.
So the people who go, what will they experience?
First of all, they'll experience community artists from the area, including community theater groups such as El Teatro Mitote, Teatro Mexico, Ballet Folklorico Primavera, Mardai Dance Company, Quetzali Folklorico Dance, a lot of different organizations, schools and community groups who have been making masks and creating theater and art for the community. They're all going to come together at Tempe Center for the Arts under the umbrella of this magnificent celebration.
And you and I talked a little bit off camera. Mass is a particular emphasis of this event, and really somewhat unique to Arizona, at least in terms of the emphasis that we place on it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's been my goal for the last 30 years to reinvent the use of masks in our society, in our culture in particular, and to give it a new life in a contemporary urban situation. And for me, it's an excellent way to get people involved. Once you make a mask and you put it on, you're part of the show.
And we've had some pictures on the screen while we're talking about the kinds of things that the kids will be able to do in masks that they'll be able to wear. Tell us about the procession itself, how that's going to work.
Well, the procession will be a procession in the traditional sense. We're going to meet at one side of the bridge. We're going to gather there, and there'll be music, and there'll be people performing. And then we're at a certain time, we're going to congregate and cross the bridge together to the other side, circle
Led by
around.
groups, kind of the people we had on the camera a moment ago with the animal masks that
Right.
you've created over time.
Exactly, yeah. We're going to have a lot of the masks that have been used in community celebrations in the past, and a lot of new masks that have been created by the community themselves.
And I understand one of the special features about the procession is it will be led by the Cat in the Hat, because there's theater performance that will
Exactly
be going
right.
on while you're there.
Yeah, well, Child's Play does everything they do is fantastic, and so this year they're presenting Cat in the Hat, and the Cat in the Hat will be the person or the thing that's going to be leading the procession into the theater, where the audience will be presented with this performance of Cat in the Hat by Child's Play.
And as I understand, the first 200 kids or audience members who want to be there get in free, and then at the end of that performance, the Cat in the Hat's going to lead the procession.
Exactly. Now, there's only room for 200 people in the theater, but everybody will have a theater experience. As I mentioned before, there'll be many artists performing right there in the atrium of the theater, and activities inside, out, food, everything is free.
Oh, it sounds like a wonderful event coming up soon. Hope you get a good crowd, because it sounds like a fantastic event.
Thank you, it will be.
And thanks for joining us to talk about it.
Thank you, Father.
Mind Over Music is a model in which teachers are trained to integrate music into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math concepts. We'll talk to two guests about the model, but first, here's a little bit about what the Mind Over Music program is all about.
We would do one of these, right?
To give you one example of a Mind Over Music unit was with the second graders, and they were learning the scientific inquiry process and how to form a hypothesis.
You guys are going to go up there on the step.
Our cellist, Lori Selby, went in, and they were able to examine the cello through the lens of a scientist and how it operates. What was really great about that lesson was that students were given the time and the space to develop that critical thinking. And that's one thing that's missing from K through 12 education today, is that there is so much emphasis placed on learning the right answer because we're so geared toward testing. And students are given very little time to just explore their way to the right answer, or in some cases, the wrong answer, which eventually gets them to the right answer. But with Mind Over Music, they're given that space within the classroom to do that.
Jacob, was that a high pitch or a low pitch?
Joining me now is Jim Ward, Phoenix Symphony President and CEO, and Mark Dix, a musician involved with the Mind Over Music program. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on Horizonte.
Thank you.
Jim, before we get into the details of the Mind Over Music program, major announcement this week about your new conductor. Tell us about that.
It's fantastic news. We have just announced our new Virginia G. Piper music director is Tito Munoz. Tito most recently comes to us as a music director at Orchestre Nancy in France, but Tito actually grew up in Flushing, Queens, and went to the famed LaGuardia School in Juilliard and broke on the national scene with the National Symphony Orchestra and has conducted with Cleveland and great orchestras around the world, and we're just very, very lucky to have him with us.
And you can tell from the picture that we have on the screen, he's a young man, but quite accomplished at a very early stage in his career and his life.
Absolutely. He's a young gun, as we would like to say. He's an up-and-comer and was in a lot of competition around the country to land him, and we're very, very lucky that we chose him and he chose us.
Now, the program we're going to talk about in a moment in more detail is just one of a number of outreach programs that the Phoenix Symphony has. How will he play into that? I mean, is this an area of interest for him?
Jose, absolutely. He is very committed to both education and community outreach in a number of ways. He's very committed to the next generation of artists and children through education, but also in our other programs. And I just might add, we'll talk about Mind Over Music, but we have a great program in health and wellness called the B Sharp Health and Wellness, a wonder project funded by the Walton Family Foundation that allows us not only to go into classrooms, but to go into hospitals, to go into homeless shelters, to go into Alzheimer treatment facilities that we're expanding into, and thanks to the Walton Family Foundation, we're able to do that. And Tito is committed to doing all of those activities as a part of an engagement with our Phoenix community.
And Mark, number of innovative programs going on at Phoenix Symphony in terms of outreach. This one in particular, nobody else has done this in the country.
That's right. I think the historical model for symphony orchestras with our education is big concerts where kids and community are bussed in to see us perform in our hall or to go to the schools and with the smaller groups. But this program, we're really directly, Mind Over Music, we're directly in the classrooms working directly with the teachers, not so much with the model to go in and teach about Mozart's birthday and specifically the orchestral field, but to really find out what the teachers are trying to teach in their classrooms.
And so it's not as if you just show up one day and in your case with your viola and show people what it's like and what the music is. There's a lot of planning that goes into this.
Tremendous, and that it's a real learning curve for both the musicians that, like for myself, I'm trained in viola. I'm not trained in writing poetry and irreversible and reversible changes and other science concepts. So I need the teacher's wisdom and how they're teaching a fourth grade class a certain topic, and the teachers need my wisdom as a musician, how to creatively bring my art form into the classroom to heighten their electricity and interest into what they're trying to teach.
And I want to come back and discuss more of the details, but Jim, what was the thinking behind this particular program? Because as Mark has indicated, it's not just to show them this is what a viola looks like and this is the sound it makes. It's something different, tied directly to education achievement.
Absolutely. Well, Jose, listen, this is really a response to the needs of the community.
And while we're talking, we've got pictures on the screen of what's going on in the classrooms.
Well, as we went out into the community and discussed opportunities and ideas, we got a clear idea back from the community that we needed to find new ways to teach STEM, and we could leverage music in that unique way. But we also needed to prove the efficacy of what we were doing. So this is an entirely ground-up program. We're the only American orchestra in the country doing this, where our musicians go in with the teachers and create these brand new curriculum, leveraging music to teach STEM. But we've created a longitudinal quantitative study where we're testing test groups and control groups. We're testing children and teachers. And even in the first year of our testing, we're in the second year right now, we saw demonstrable improvements in the test group, 18% increases in improvement in test scores, leveraging music to teach STEM. And because of that, we've proved the efficacy of the program and have it funded through this pilot program timeframe, and we're very, very excited about that.
Mark, let's talk about your partner, ASU Prep.
Wonderful school on 7th Street and Fillmore.
And basically an inner city school, so
Yes.
To many people that would be a particular challenge.
Yes, absolutely. I think some of it has to do with just breaking down the barriers between an inner city school and an arts organization. That we are there not just to give concerts, but we are there to come in and really work directly to serve their needs. But the kids and the teachers have been tremendously receptive. And for both of us sitting down at the table and figuring out how to do this. In the classroom, the teachers have been very welcoming to have new faces, professionals coming into their classroom with our instruments to perform. But it's the learning curve of really seeing how the kids can grasp onto one class I did was about the planets for 4th grade. And so I had a piece of music that had depictions of the planets and played some of those excerpts on my instrument. And so you could really see that this concept of what are the attributes of Mars and what does that make you feel like, along with the statistics they have on the planet Mars. And then you really have a child who has a much more profound memory of learning about Mars through the arts in this type of environment.
And how many musicians are involved in the program?
I think about 25. There's, in the high 60s, almost 70 musicians in the Phoenix Symphony, and a large number of participation from the players. But for all of us, this is really new field where we come in and are doing something we've never done before, which is exciting for us, for all of us in our careers, to do something we haven't done before but that we have a passion for.
Now, Jim, you indicated this is year 2 now. Lessons learned from the first year, and are there things that are being done differently this time around?
Absolutely. I think our musicians going into this, had to be trained to be in a classroom environment and learn how to develop curriculum to state standards and all of those types of things, and sit down with the teachers and their counterparts and develop this curriculum. I think this year it's a much more efficient process. They've been through that once and now have learned from that and have made that leap into the classroom in a much more efficient way. And we'll improve upon it in the third year of this, and hopefully then be able to scale beyond that.
And hopefully we'll see even more spectacular results than you already have. Thank you both for joining us on Horizonte to talk about this program.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's our show for tonight. From all of us here at 8 and Horizonte, I'm Jose Cardenas. Have a good evening.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station.